All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome, 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 welcome. So this is Zarina Alameen, founder of the Power Author Academy, and I'm here this evening. We're going to be getting started in just about 4 minutes or so. We're going to get started, and we're going to have an amazing time with the author Lynice Muhammad, the author of My Journey Through the Nation of Islam. So all of us have heard about the Nation of Islam. Some of you all have experienced some portions of it firsthand. Some of you all are in it right now. I know I have a lot of people on my page that are in the Nation of Islam. So this evening, we're going to be able to hear from a member who has gone way back and gone through some different transitions in her Islamic life, Muslim life. So share this out, you all. We're going to be having a great time this evening, but we also want other people to be able to benefit as well. So share this out on your pages. Your Facebook page, wherever else, in different groups that you're in. And we're going to get started in just about 2 minutes or so, So share this out, and we're going to get started in just a minute. I am super duper stoked. Now, for those of you who are here, let us know where you're joining us from, okay? Let us know where you're joining us from. So we always like to kind of know where people are joining from, the city, the state, all of that, because when we know, we can create a little energetic field, of positivity. We can connect each other in positive ways. So let us know where you're joining us from this evening. And we're going to get started in just about 1 minute, 1 minute countdown or so. Awesome. All right, for those of you who are just joining us, welcome. We're going to be getting started in just a little bit. We have the author, Lynice Muhammad, of My Journey Through the Nation of Islam with us this evening for our Power Author series. And we're going to get started in just about 30 seconds. All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Yay! I've been waiting for this one, so I'm so excited. Good evening, everyone. My name is Zarina Alameen. I am the founder of the Power Author Academy, which is a program of book power publishing. The Academy was founded to help entrepreneurs, to help community members, to help individuals who have a message that they want to get out there into the world. Our job is to help them get it out of their head, down onto paper, and be able to make an impact with their messages. So we do that through counseling, through coaching, through walking them through the steps that are necessary to publish a good book and make it a bestseller if they so choose. So this evening is the finale of our Power Authors series. I've been doing these interviews over the past week. And tonight I have the author, Sister Lynice Muhammad, and she is the author of the book, My Journey Through the Nation of Islam. My Journey Through the Nation of Islam. So we're going to get into the book today. We're going to learn a little bit more about her history, her family history, and why she decided she wanted to pen this book right here. But I also want to let you all know that tomorrow, good God, is actually here. The day is actually here. So tomorrow, September 25th, this is our Power Author launch day. This is our bestseller day. This is our graduation. Sister Lynice is one of the graduates, and you have 7 other amazing women who wrote their books during the pandemic. And now they're going to be launching their books out into the world. And tomorrow is our graduation day. So all of you all are invited to come back tomorrow. We're going to have some prizes. You're going to be able to win some amazing things from our authors and others. And we really are going to have a time to celebrate and a time to buy their books. That's really a part of the purpose of tomorrow, is to celebrate their accomplishment and to purchase their books. So you're going to be able to get their books discounted tomorrow. Want the Kindle version? You can get it for just $1.99. You can get their Kindle versions. And of course, if you are like me and you want to get it hardback, right, you're going to be able to get the actual paperback copy, the printed book as well. All right. Because I'm like this. Now, the other reason that you really want to kind of really get the paperbacks, I think, the printed versions, is because what we're doing here is actually unprecedented, right? This is unprecedented. We have 8 Black women authors all publishing their book at the same exact time. Do you know the lack of diversity that exists in the publishing industry? So the fact that we have 8 Black women authors publishing their books and at the same time is a miracle in and of itself. 7 out of the 8 women are Muslim. So we have 7 Black Muslim women publishing their books at the same time. So the stories that they're putting out are not the stories that are normally told. These are stories that are normally kept insular, that don't get to mainstream. And what we're doing is we're bringing these out and we're helping to preserve a written legacy. We're preserving a written legacy. We're going to talk more about that with Sister Lynice, and the author of My Journey Through the Nation of Islam, and hear more about her story. So let me go ahead and introduce her right now. Sister Lynice Muhammad is a retired elementary teacher, mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother. A living legend, Lynice was a part of the largest historically documented conversion to Orthodox Sunni Islam in 1975. As a Muslim community volunteer, she has been actively involved with organizations such as Toastmasters, Sisters United in Human Service, an organization of Muslim women working with the homeless, and other worthwhile projects. Now an author and historian, Lynice also enjoys reading and listening to the jazz greats. So this book, My Journey Through the Nation of Islam, recounts what Sister Lynice experienced as an active participant in the Nation of Islam from the time she was a child. She shares the challenges she and her family face. She also shares the triumphs and the joys. Now, whether you agree or disagree with the tenets of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you will gain a clearer understanding of those tenets and how people like Sister Lynice implemented them into their lives. All right, so let's welcome Sister Lynice Muhammad to the Power Author stage. Yay, Sister Lynice, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Awesome. I am
happy to be here.
Yes, me too. I'm happy that you are here. Now, this is a juicy little book here, Sister Lynice. This is a juicy little tale. You know, and I was getting into it, I was reading, and I think that you did a really good job of sharing the way that you thought about certain things in your life, like from the time that you were a child up until now. So we're going to get into some of the stories throughout the book that you shared tonight. But I want to just pull back a little bit, and I really want to understand more about why you felt it was important to write this book, My Journey Through the Nation of Islam. You know, so many people say they want to write. I say this a lot, but not everyone actually does it. You took the time to literally put pen to paper and get your ideas out. So can you share with us a little bit about why it was so important for you to write this book?
Yes, Zarina, and thank you so much for having us to be able to share our books. It has really been very interesting experience just being a part of the program. So I thank you so much for doing this. The reason that I chose to write my book or my memoirs is that I want to be able to share with my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, the legacy that the pioneer believers left behind from the Nation of Islam. I want them to realize that those people were really, really great people, that they understood what it was like to go through so many turmoils and poverty and everything, but they were just such gracious people, such beautiful, loving, and kind people. And I want my great grandchildren, grandchildren, everyone to understand this. And not only my children, but also people who um, just were a part of the nation to know. Thank you. That's
Awesome. Yeah, well, I'm super excited that you did it because, you know, the Nation of Islam is a group that a lot of people who are not Muslim hear about it through movies and things of that nature, but not many people get the opportunity to actually read a firsthand account. But what's interesting, I think, in your story is that many people would assume that like you converted maybe in your 20s or you know, something like that around that age, like some other people, but you actually go back before then. So can you tell us about like how your parents came in and then when you came in?
Yes, my father actually was the first one to accept Islam. He was more or less, let's just say, a nationalist or very person that was very interested in pursuing his rights and trying to help the Black people in general.
Mm-hmm.
So he was really attracted by the Nation of Islam. And he accepted when he saw other brothers who were really doing things for themselves and for their women. He was just very much encouraged to become a part of the nation because of what he saw going happening. And so then later, my mother accepted. She was a Church of God in Christ person, so she wasn't too much in a hurry to change her religion.
Mm-hmm.
But through a lot of prodding and sisters coming by and sharing with her and encouraging her about the MGT and GCC, she did decide after maybe about a year after my father accepted Islam to also accept it. But my daddy was very excited about it because I can recall as a child, he came home one day and Mama had fixed us a delicious breakfast, we thought, but he said that it had hog in it. It was pork, and that he didn't like my mother fixing us, pork. So he said that from now on, we could not have anything like that. And so he threw all of that out of the refrigerator and even took the stuff off of our plates that we were eating at this particular time. So we were just kind of, in bewilderment because we didn't understand why Daddy was doing this.
Mm-hmm. And first of all, that's money, right? So he had money there in that food that he probably paid for, and then he got rid of it. So that's like a pretty big deal. So for those of you who are just joining us, we are here this evening with Sister Lynice Muhammad. Sister Lynice Muhammad is the author of My Journey Through the Nation of Islam. This is her memoir. This is her story. This is her journey, and the journey of many others who traveled with her along this type of lifestyle. So Sister Lynice is one of our Power authors. She is a graduate of the Power Author Academy. This academy is a program that helps people write their books. Point blank, right? That is what it is. It's a program that helps people write their books. So we help them come up with their ideas. We help them formulate the message, how they want to put it together, and we give them the support. We give them the accountability. We give them the knowledge that they need in order to actually get their books done. So I see we lost Sister Lynice. She's going to come back in, so don't leave yet. I see that she's gone right now, but she's going to come on back in just a moment. And I already know she's going to be like, You know, this is another side thing that came out of the program. For the first time, I think, in our history of me doing this program, we had a wide range of ages. So we had sisters who were in their late 20s, early 30s, all the way to sisters like Sister Lynice who are in their 70s and Sister Iola who are in their 70s, right? Upper 70s. And what the beautiful thing about that was is that when you're in an opportunity to share and connect with other people, right, you can learn from each of the others as well. And so even myself, I learned so much from every single member of the Power Author Academy. Like I learned gems from every single one of them. And Sister Lynice, you know, through the journey of her speaking about the Nation of Islam, I learned about tenacity. I learned about faith, like, I mean, real faith, not that like surface level faith. But Sister Lynice and her parents and people like her had the real type of faith where they were not shook by anything that was happening. They were not misunderstanding that their role in this life was to build this Muslim community. And that's what they did, right? They did a lot of work to build this Muslim community. So I am super excited about Sister Lynice's journey, putting her pen to paper. And when I was reading her book earlier, you know, I saw that a lot of what she shared in here are real things. How many of y'all grandmas are like, you know, your aunties sometimes, they don't want to give you like the real stuff, like the bad things or the things that may have you looking at them a little bit funny. Like they don't want to do any of that, right? They want to kind of make everything look all rosy, the everything. Like it was just all perfect, all of that. But what Sister Lynice does that I appreciate is that she gives us the real deal in her book, My Journey Through the Nation of Islam. She actually talks about the times that were difficult. She talks about her marriage. She talks about her divorce. She talks about things that most people like, you know, sweep underneath the rug and don't really bring forward. And I think that that's one of the beautiful things that she's done in this memoir, in this piece of history that she's capturing here. So for those of you who are just joining us, while we're waiting on Sister Lynice to hopefully pop back in, I don't know what happened. Probably her phone died or something. You know, she was here at an hour early to make sure that everything works. And I know she's going to be like, how? As soon as, you know, people try to make it happen, all of that, it's kind of, you know, sad. So when she comes back, I want you all to give her like a, you know, a big round of applause. But for those of you who are just joining us, my name is Zarina El-Amin. I am the founder of the Power Author Academy and Book Power Publishing. We are a Detroit-based author coaching and author services company that helps entrepreneurs utilize books to build their business. We help individuals who want to get their messages out there, get them out there so that they can make an impact. And we help those people who just want to capture their family history for legacy purposes, for their family, for their friends. We help them get their ideas out of their head, down onto paper, and be able to preserve that for their future generations. What Sister Lynice has done here is a gift. It is a gift, not only for her family, it is a gift for the entire community. As I mentioned, especially when you have quote unquote subcultures, right? Or we have groups that are on the fringes or groups that aren't often understood. When you have those groups, main society sometimes makes up their own narratives. They make up their own idea about the doctrines of these organizations or what it was like for people who were living in those times and in those places. And oftentimes, mainstream society gets it wrong. Most times than not, more times than not, they get it wrong. And sometimes it's just they get it wrong by mistake, by accident. They didn't really know all of the information. But what's sad, or I should say what's heinous, is that sometimes they actually just change the narrative. They get it wrong, not on purpose, but on purpose, not on mistake, but on purpose. They do it so that that organization is planted in a particular light so that they can control the narrative. And this happens across the globe, right? This happens across the globe. So what Sister Lynice has done is extremely important because she has taken the stage. She has taken the mic. She has written her own legacy. So if someone wants to know what was it like growing up in the 40s, in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, in the 2000s, in the 2010s, right? If someone was growing up during that time, what was it like? They don't have to have conjecture or wonder. They can literally go and read the book, right? There is no question about what it was like. They can go and read the book and get a first-hand account. So that is why what I say, what Sister Lynice did is not just like, oh, that's nice. Like, this is a real big deal. This is why organizations and communities have what we call griots, right? You know what griots are? You know, like when you heard of griots in African societies, where they were the people who were to preserve the history and the legacy. They remembered things about your mama and your grandmama and your great grandmama and your auntie and your uncles and all of that. And they could tell you your history, not only their individual history, they could tell you your history, right? And so it's important for us to identify the griots in our community who are going to not only preserve, you know, the history for everyone, but also preserve their individual history themselves. This is one of the most beautiful things. All right, so I see Sister Lynice is back. Welcome.
I am so sorry. What happened was I didn't charge my phone up and it completely went off, but I have it on the charger now, so I'm back.
Okay, good. I told them that you came in like an hour early, and I said that more than likely her phone probably died, and
that's what happened.
Awesome. So we were just talking about, you know, the gift really that you gave. I believe the gift that you gave to the community by capturing your knowledge and your experience firsthand. Because so often we don't get to hear the real lives of individuals. We hear what people assume it was like, or what their friends told them it was like. But what you did here was actually capture the history, you know, step by step yourself. So for you, I'm wondering, Sister Lynice, how did you decide what you were going to put into this book? Like, how did you decide the moments and times?
That's a good question, Zarina. I did kind of like what you shared with us to do, to put everything down and to just kind of, you know, go over it and see what I felt was most important. But I think the what I did was those things that was most important in my eyes, those things that I felt people would really want to understand better and see.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's pretty much what I did, and so we came up with 10 chapters, uh, beginning with my parents, my family leaving Bessemer, Alabama, and coming to Detroit, Michigan, where we stayed for almost 30 years. I was there in Detroit.
Wait, hold on. Let's not leave Bessemer yet. So you're down in Alabama, Bessemer,
yes,
Alabama.
that's where I was born. Myself and the first 3 children, my parents, my brothers and sisters, we were born in Bessemer, Alabama.
Okay, Bessemer. So then you're the oldest, right?
Yes, I'm the oldest of 11 children.
Okay, so you're the oldest of 11 children. Bless your mama's heart. Bless her heart.
Going out again.
It looks like it's okay, but if it's charged up,
going out again. It's
is
plugged
it plugged
in.
up?
I don't understand why it's going out again.
Uh-oh. Don't tell me we're about to lose her. No. Did we lose her? I think we did. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is read a little bit of her introduction while she's coming in. Is that all right with you all? All right. So, Lynice, James, Jonathan, Renee, it's time to get up. That was Mama waking us. She was our alarm clock. I knew I had to hit the floor. I took a nice long stretch before pulling myself out of bed. Then the aroma of coffee hit me. Maxwell House. It was Dad's favorite coffee. Mama had been up long enough to brew Dad's coffee, fix him some breakfast, and pack his lunch. Dad carried one of those classic Stanley black metal lunch boxes. There was a thermos of coffee, two sandwiches, most likely a peanut butter sandwich and a bologna or salami sandwich. Dad sipped his coffee, ate whatever Mama had prepared for him, and he was out the door. By the time we'd washed up and made our way to the kitchen, Dad was long gone in his little red pickup truck, pulling a yellow cement mixer. This is a snapshot of my family in 1954. I was 7 years old, the oldest of four. By this time, my parents had been members of the Nation of Islam for 3 years. So that means that she became Muslim at the age of 4. So her parents converted to Islam at the age of 4, when she was 4. So my father joined in 1951 at Temple Number 1, shortly after the family relocated from Bessemer, Alabama to Detroit. My mother joined in late 1951 or early 1952. The snapshot is of a time when at least 4 of us children attended the University of Islam at Temple Number 1. 1952, you all. One of the things, now we have this whole educational crisis, right? We have this educational crisis where we're trying to figure out, do we use charter schools? Do we have public? Can we talk about race? Can we talk about this? One of the things that we hear from Sister Lynice is that her parents put her into the University of Islam at Temple Number 1, a private Muslim school. And this was critical because many of the children who came into the nation during that time, the 50s or so, many of them were educated through their own educational systems. The people did not put their children into the public schools. So that wasn't even an option. And they had to oftentimes fight for the right to be able to do that, right? If you look at the history from Sister Clara Muhammad and the pioneers of private education, outside of the public schools, Sister Clara Muhammad and the Nation of Islam had a big, big, big role in being able to give people the rights, if you will, to educate their children in the ways that they wanted to. So that's a big deal. All right, so we had moved from Detroit into our home in Inkster, Michigan, which is a little bit outside of Detroit. My family had a trusted relationship with Malcolm X. Dad was well acquainted with his brothers, Wilford X. Little and Filbert Omar. When Malcolm was released from prison in 1952, it was from what was then the federal penitentiary in Milan, Michigan. He moved to Inkster, which is the city that she was in, and lived with his brother Wilford. We lived within walking distance of Wilford, and Malcolm X was a frequent visitor. At 19, I married a Muslim minister and moved to Jackson, Mississippi. We had 3 children, one of whom died within days of his birth. May Allah have mercy on his soul. At 25, I was a divorcee, raising 2 children on my own. The marriage and breakup were a trial for me and my parents. And my parents have had their own trials. And my siblings have had their trials. But throughout all of the trials and tests, we all had the comfort of the Nation of Islam, its teachings, and the sincere love of the believers. Most of all, we have had our faith and trust in Almighty God. All right, chapter 1, Alabama to Detroit. I have many fond childhood memories of my mother. This is one. The year was 1950. I was barely 3 years old. I lived with my parents and 2 little brothers in Bessemer, Alabama. I was in our sandbox with my neighbor, Roger Russell. We were filling containers with sand, seeing who could fill theirs the fastest. Suddenly, I felt very itchy. I screamed for my mother. I knew she was somewhere nearby. Roger was puzzled. He probably was wondering if he had done something wrong. All I knew was that I no longer wanted to be in that sandbox. I needed my mother. Mama came running out of the house. I told her about the itching. She began examining my arms, legs, and thighs. She took me out of the sandbox and sent Roger home. We went inside and she began drawing bath water. She got me out of my clothes and put me into the bathtub. I did not understand what was going on, but I did not question her. Eventually, I learned that red ants had invaded the sandbox. When I think about my mother and the care that she gave her children, this incident comes to mind. I am the oldest of 11. In 1950, there were three of us, but I was the only one old enough to travel with Mama without being a bother. She took me to Sunday school while she attended church. Sunday school for me was the church nursery. There were games with new friends, and there were songs. Jesus loves me, this I know, and he's got the whole world in his hand. The most fun came after church service. The children in the nursery would get a special treat. For me, the best treat was an ice cream cone with my favorite flavor, vanilla. I remember walking home with Mama as I enjoyed my cone. During this time, my father worked in the coal mines in Birmingham. His decision to leave the coal mines was perhaps one of the best decisions he ever made. There were few harder and more dangerous jobs than coal mining. Dad had witnessed many miners get hurt or become ill from constantly inhaling coal dust. He saw coworkers dying at an early age. He decided to leave coal mining, but what about his wife and three children? How would he replace his coal miner's salary? Alabama offered no answer to that question for a black man in the 1950s. We would have to leave Alabama. Dad was not afraid of taking on responsibility. As a teenager, he had been the man of the house, working to provide for his mother, brother, and three sisters. All who knew him as a very responsible and capable person. Mama and members of her family saw Dad as a uniquely responsible black man. When he and Mama married, he moved his new bride into a completely furnished home. Get it? Because of my father's track record, my mother trusted his decision and was willing to make the sacrifice of starting over in a new environment. Dad decided we would move to Detroit, Michigan, a destination for many who had decided as he had. Mama knew nothing about Detroit, but she supported the move with no hesitation. In the summer of 1950, Dad went to Detroit to look for a job in housing. After being away a few weeks, Dad called Mama to tell her he had found a short-term job and he had met a Christian family living on the east side of Detroit who would rent him living space in their basement. Mama immediately prepared leave. Late summer or early fall of 1950, we left Bessemer for Detroit. Dad had arranged with his cousin Sonny for him to drive us. Mom said her special prayers, gave her goodbyes, and we were on the road for the long ride to Detroit, Michigan. Mama and my infant brother Jonathan were in the front with cousin Sonny. My brother James and I sat in the back with cousin Sonny's friend. I want to pause for a quick moment because many people who know Detroit know it is one of the black meccas of the world, right? It is a black city. And a lot of people moved to Detroit during the 50s to work at the automotive plants, to work at the other places where it promised a new life, right? So men like Lynice's sister, Lynice's father, were looking for how they were going to establish a good life for their family. These are family men, right? Men looking to establish a good life for their family. And what he saw was that in this case, he was going to have to leave his home, leave the place that he grew up, leave the place that has supported him and nurtured him all that time. He had to leave that womb and he moved all the way north. Now imagine, y'all talk about, like many people in my city now talk about how cold it is in Detroit, right? It's so cold in the D. We got a whole song about it. Cold in many ways, but it was cold, right? It's a totally different environment. But imagine the sacrifice that it takes to want to preserve your family. And I think when we hear about the early pioneers or early people who adopted the Nation of Islam, we have to understand the type of mindsets that they had. These were people who were willing to sacrifice. These were people who were willing to change their entire way of life when they saw something that was going to bring them peace and something they thought was going to make their life better, right? They were searching for a better life, and they found it both in discipline as well as a new spiritual direction. So they're traveling to Detroit. It says, after some time, we came to a rest stop. All the passengers in the back had been comfortably sleeping, or so we thought. My brother James may have been sleeping, but he was not comfortable. His small body had slid through a space between the backrest and the seat. He was on the floor of the body of the car behind the back seat. He was crying, struggling without success to climb out. Cousin Sonny's friend tried to free him. He could not. Cousin Sonny joined him in the effort. The two of them could not free James. They tried going through the trunk of the car. Good God, they could not free James. By this time, I was up front with Mama. She passed me the baby and went outside to help them in. She started by supervising since their movements needed to be coordinated. At the same time, she was saying things to comfort her frightened son. Finally, she took over. I heard her praying, straining, and saying things to comfort James. I heard her shout, "Praise God!" She had accomplished by herself what the two men could not do together. She had freed her son. James was still crying, but he was very happy. I was very happy. Cousin Sonny and his friend were greatly relieved. We made the rest of the trip with both my brothers in the front, James sitting next to Mama, Jonathan on her lap. If Mama was one to complain, what she encountered when we arrived in Detroit gave her something to complain about. The basement accommodations were so appalling that our landlords were compelled to apologize. But it was what God had provided. It was a make do situation, and Mama made do. Hey, hello, Sister Lynice. Assalamu alaikum.
I am so frustrated. I am so sorry.
Well, this okay. We can't see you, but we can hear you. So that's perfectly fine. We're good with that. You can hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
Okay, cool. So what I was just reading to the audience was chapter 1 and also a little bit about the introduction. So I read the introduction, and now we're in the part of you coming from Alabama to Detroit and you guys arriving in this basement accommodations that were appalling, to say the least. So I want to know from your perspective as a child, coming up from down south to this new place, this place you had never been before. What was that like for you?
Well, as a child, it was exciting because I didn't know what to expect. And all I knew is I was with Mom and Dad. And so, I depended on them to take good care of us and, to know what to do. So I didn't think anything about it. The only thing is that when we moved from Alabama to Detroit, it was much colder and I didn't like the cold. But other than that, it was okay because I was with Mom and Dad.
With your people, right? Your people that were your safety net. So
yeah.
You talk in here about going to school at the University of Islam. And I wonder if you could kind of tell us what was school like during that time at that University of Islam?
Okay. School at the University of Islam was interesting. We didn't have that much equipment to work with. We didn't have everything like the public schools and everything had. But we had beautiful teachers who loved us and were really concerned and caring. There might have been only about 20 to 30 of us all told at the time. But we helped each other. That what I knew, I helped others. I was a very avid reader, a good reader. And so I would help others to learn to read, and some would help me to learn to do math and other things. But it was interesting. The thing that we really dwelled upon was learning the Islamic lessons. We learned the student enrollment. We learned the English lesson number C1, and Lost found lesson number 1. So those were the lessons that were drilled in my head that I can even tell you today that, I'm 70 plus. I can still remember those because they were so much drilled in my head to learn. The student enrollment, rules of Islam, the following questions must be answered 100% before submittance of student to have said lesson number 1. So yeah, so those were the things that we really, really were drilled on. We're learning the Islamic lessons, but we did learn the basics of reading, writing, and arithmetic. So, and we just had beautiful teachers who were very concerned about us learning.
I want to hear more about these Islamic lessons. These things that were like, what kind of things were you all learning in those lessons?
Okay, we were learning who we were, So who is the original man? We were called the original man because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said we were first and we were the best. So who is the original man? The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. So this was too what I feel that my father, because not only the children had to learn these lessons, but the adults too. So when my father heard these kind of lessons, that was what made him really adapt to wanting to be a Muslim, because he was made to feel that he was somebody, whereas he had been born, when he was born, he didn't have the structure of a mother and father. He had a struggling mother who tried to do the best she could for him. And so as he grew older, he became very responsible and had to take on a lot of things that normally 12, 13, 14-year-olds don't have to do. But so yeah, with the lessons, we were made to feel that we were somebody, you are somebody. The Asiatic, and then who is a Caucasian? The Caucasian is the Yakub devil, the skunk of the planet Earth. So these were just different lessons. We also learned the actual facts, how much the earth, how much the water was, all of these things. So we felt we were really smart and we could learn those kind of things.
Mm-hmm. So we'll talk about like this race side, and because that was one of the things you talk about in the book, like how your soul didn't really jive with some of the race talk, and that kind of led you into some other directions, which is interesting. But the bigger thing that I think is important out of what you just said right now is this really deep installation in the individuals of a love of self. You're going to love who you are, and we're going to elevate you because you're consistently pushed down. You're consistently, yeah. And so it sounds like a lot of people during that time were attracted to the nation, as you said, because of this sense of self, this positive sense of self, and the other side, right? Because these were people who had been demonized consistently. This is the 50s, right? This is like the 50s, people who have been demonized consistently by others, and then this was a time for them to raise themselves up. So, Sister Lynice, so you are in the nation up until what age?
I don't mean up until I was in my early 30s.
Okay,
that's when Imam Muhammad took over. Yeah, in 1975 he took over. And so I was a part of the nation up until that time, to 1975.
Okay, so let's go back, because in this time you talk about getting married. And how old were you when you got married?
19.
19.
I was 19 years old.
Can you talk to us about that? Was that like the age that a lot of people were getting married at that time? Was like you an anomaly, something special that you got married at that age, or was this normal? Tell us a little bit about that.
Most Muslim women most of the Muslim women got married about 17, 18, 19. That was the time we were encouraged to get married. My parents wanted me to at least get a high school education and have some kind of skill before I married. And I was glad that I did. So I had gone, I graduated from high school at 16. And so I had gone on to business school. And so I had like secretarial skills that I could, shorthand and typing, and filing and stuff like that, that I could fall back on. So that was important to my parents, that all of us learned some kind of skills, and even though my desire was to go to college, I wanted to get my elementary education, but I did not get my finish my elementary education until after my divorce. I had divorced my first husband.
So how did you meet him? Because I'm kind of curious. We've been talking to Dr. Anissa about like courtship and marriage and all those things. So I'm wondering if you can kind of paint the picture for us, like with what courtship looked like back then. Was it everybody doing it? Like your parents picked him out, or did you pick him out, or like how did it go down?
I don't know. Well, let me just share with you that he had introduced himself to my brother. My brother and he were in a junior college together. And the reason that he was in junior college was because during the time he had was put in prison or put in jail for having not served in the military. But he had already been assigned to Jackson, Mississippi as a minister for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But during that time when he was just getting started, he was picked up because, they say he was a draft. He dodged the draft. Yeah, draft dodger. Yes, he had dodged the draft. And so he ended up in Michigan because he had stayed with his brother. He had a brother who lived in Michigan. And so he had stayed with him during that time when he first accepted Islam. And so anyway, my brother and he met up. And so my brother, he found out that my brother was Muslim. And so my brother invited him to our home. And so that was how I met him, was by him visiting with my brother to our home. And of course, we offered it. My mother and father offered him dinner and all of that good stuff. And so he saw that they had daughters, at least one daughter who was of what they felt was marriageable age. I was 18 going on 19. So that was, that was how we met. But the courtship, in my estimation, was not really that much because he was a brother. He was very strict. He didn't hold my hands. He didn't, we didn't hug. We didn't have any type of, real relationship in my estimation. We just talked and got to know each other for a few months, but it wasn't, in my estimation, what a real relationship should be like, because I didn't get to know him.
So you talk about the relationship and things in the book. So those of you who want to know more about that time and how that stuff goes down in there, you can view it in her book, My Journey Through the Nation of Islam, by Sister Lynice Muhammad. And also, I should say, you all get the book tomorrow. Tomorrow is our bestseller day. So I want you all to log on tomorrow. We're going to be live with all of the authors of the Power Author Academy. We're going to be talking to them individually, and we're going to be buying their books. Why? Because we are indie authors, and it is so important for us to utilize our people power, right? Utilize our people power so we can have a competition with the people that have millions and billions of dollars that they can throw into different projects and such. We're doing this on our own dime. We're financing our own messages. Sister Lynice decided that she wanted to write her book, and she got everything together, put it all down, invested in herself to get this out, right? And we cannot wait for anybody else to see value in us. Like what she says, when she was young, they instilled value for yourself. Yeah, they instilled value for yourself, right? And so that's one of the things that we have to recognize, is that we have to recognize our own value and produce our own messages, produce our own books, which is what Sister Lynice is doing. All right, so Sister Lynice, out of your book, out of the experience, what is the big message that you want people to take away from reading your story and reading your book?
I want them to know that all of us have a story to tell, that everyone needs to either share their story by writing a book or by recording their story or, just telling it to somebody. Like you say, we used to do back before we left our motherland. And so I just feel that it's very important that all of us, as many of us as possible, should share our story and leave a legacy for our children and children to come.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my take home my message from this to everyone.
Absolutely. And for those people who don't really understand the Nation of Islam, like you describe the pioneers, the believers, you say as beautiful people. Can you talk a little bit more about like the characteristics, like some of the personality traits that you saw within your community growing up?
Yes. Um, I'll just point out one of the sisters to you, Sister Joshua. She was the sister that I really loved because she would make such beautiful pastries and bean pies and cakes and all kinds of good stuff. And every time she would see me, even though I was 7, 8, 9 years old, she would grab me and give me a hug and just make me feel so special. So that was something that really resonated with me was just how kind everyone was and how they made you to feel special even though you were just a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I share about Mother Josie. Mother Josie was I think Sister Iola was sharing with you, she was our uh, midwife. And what she did, she delivered 2 of my mother's babies. And she was just really special to me too, because she would always share with us different stories about the Savior, she would say. And then also like I said, she loved looking at the stories. She loved looking at the stories back that time, the guiding light and the edge of night and
Oh
all
my
of that
God,
good stuff.
I'm
And she would
addicted to
start to
guiding light.
talk to my mother about them like she was really talking to somebody. So it was just really a very interesting situation. I just loved while she was there. She stayed there maybe about 3 to 5 days when my mother had her baby. So
Oh.
I love Mother Josie. So those kind of people were really special to me
You
in
know,
the
I
Nation of
talk about
Islam.
the fact, I feel like I always describe what my parents gave to me as a village, right? I feel like they built a village and then I was able to inherit this type of village with all of the people who are surrounding me and, my family. And what do you think, like you all established communities in the 50s, 60s, 70s. You had built institutions and things. And so I'm wondering, like, what do you think was it you all's tenacity or personality or like what really allowed you to build the communities that you built? Uh-oh, did I lose you, Sister Lynice? Oh no, did I lose her again? Sister Lynice? Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's a
You
good
guys can't hear her,
question,
right?
Zarina.
Okay, there
I
we go.
think uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Uh-oh. Can you
Said
hear
anything
me?
before?
It
We missed that part. Yes, I can. Yes, I can hear you now.
okay. What I was saying is that okay. What I was saying is that to me, the most important thing that contributed to the our building and being building a nation was the fact that we worked together. So many of the believers back during that time would strengthen and help each other. They would give their very last. Like my father, he was one who was very charitable And, even if it came to using his bill money or whatever, he would help somebody if he felt that they were in trouble. But I think that tenacity that the believers had to reach out and help one another, and to really, try and help and make things better for each other. That was the thing that helped make the community strong.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I wonder how you all did it, like how you worked and built these communities and set in lectures on Monday, Wednesday, Sunday, Friday. I mean, y'all, like, I just don't understand how you all had the same 24 hours that we have, but it seems like you did so much more. So what is your advice to the next generation who is looking to build institutions, or at least even inherit the ones that you all built and continue on, or people who want to build something that can last? What's your advice to them?
I feel that they need to go back and find love. They need to go back and care for each other, like those pioneer believers gave us love. They need to really do that, and that we will be more successful in helping to spread the religion of Islam as we now understand it and know, from Imam Waheed Muhammad. But that's the one thing that is missing to me, is that we don't know how to treat each other. That's something that we could have learned from the pioneer believers. And another thing we could have learned from them is health-wise, how to, that was something that I talk about in my book, how important it was to him that we ate one meal a day. And that was a question that I remember a lot of believers asked me, a lot of people asked me when they found out that I was writing about the Nation of Islam. Did the Muslims really eat only one meal a day? And that's the truth. Many of them, that was all that they would eat. They would get up in the morning, have that cup of coffee, or 2 cups of coffee. And then after that, they did not eat anymore until dinner time, which was about 4 or 5 o'clock. So though having that, I believe that would make us a better people.
I love it. One of the things, I'm in these groups for intermittent fasting, which is now a fad, right? Everybody talks about how you're supposed to fast 16, 18, 20 hours a day, and one meal a day is a big thing. But what I hear is that in the community already, you already had some of these health things that are crazes now. They were built in to the lifestyle. One meal a day, eating one meal a day. My other friend from the nation, my realtor, she was talking about where they still fast like 72 hours every month. So they do a 3-day water fast or whatever every month. These are things that are like just good for your body in general, right? Yeah, I love that. So did you get tested? Because I know, and if anyone has any questions, drop them into the chat box. We're going to close down in a little bit, but I just want to kind of know, like, from you, like, I know some people say it was really strict, in the Nation of Islam, like people would come and check your weight and, check other things about you to see if you kind of fit into the mold or such. So I'm wondering, is that true? Like, how strict was it when you were actually in the community?
Yes, that was true. I can remember one incident where my mother, I told you I'm the oldest of 11 children, and she was always cleaning and washing. That was something I remember her doing all the time. And so one time there was a sister lieutenant, or, we had the captains, the lieutenant, and the squad leader. I don't know whether it was a lieutenant or a squad leader, but they came to the house while my mother was busy trying to clean up and to inspect. And because, everything was not quite in order as they thought it should be, they questioned her and, was asking her, well, Sister Irene, and Mama said, well, sister, I would like for you to come in and do better and show me how to do it. So, but that was my mother, as a matter of fact, person. And so they didn't, bother her, but because she was seeing my daddy struggle to try and send us to school, and that was monies, and and it was just not an easy time for parents with that many children.
Yeah,
So yeah.
11 children. Yeah. Yeah, that's something. But that's hilarious to me. You said they came to the house and were like, there's some dust here.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. Or why is this out of place? You know,
wow. Very, very interesting.
you come and do better than this with me and with your with if you have 11 children.
I love it. I love it. I wish somebody would come over here. But the thing that's the bigger point for me out of this is that you had respect for leadership and you all had standards. Those are the two things that I'm hearing is that there were standards within the community that people needed to adhere to. You had
Yes,
discipline and you also
and
respected
discipline.
leadership.
Yes, yes.
Okay, Sister Lydia says, your giving spirit is very much a part of your personality. When I moved to something and met you in Atlanta in 1992, you and your family gave me a job at your clothing store just to help me get on my feet. Oh, you did that,
Alhamdulillah.
right, niece?
That I think that was my husband because he had a clothing store. Yes, at the time.
Oh,
Allah has called him. He's been gone about 7 years now. But yeah, uh, my late husband did have a clothing store, and so he would hire other Muslim believers.
awesome. Lovely,
Um,
lovely. All right. So for those of you who had the ability to join us this evening, we were speaking to Sister Lynice Muhammad, who is the author of My Journey Through the Nation of Islam. And look at her lovely cover. This is by another Black artist by the name of Anika Sabri. And she selected different pictures from her historical journey through the Nation of Islam and made a beautiful collage for her cover. So those of you who are interested in hearing more from Sister Lynice, she will be here tomorrow. Now, tomorrow is the 25th. We've been like, how you've been holding on to anticipation for something for so long, and now it's
yeah.
actually here. So tomorrow is the 25th, which is going to be our Power Author Bestseller Day. You all are all invited to come and join us. We want to get this book to #1 on Amazon. We want when other people to go and search for books, we want this to come up. We want them to see this one and be able to click on that and be like, oh, let me hear more about the Nation of Islam from somebody who was actually in it. Not somebody who just thinks they knows what it is, right? Like, let's hear a first-hand account. So, Sister Lynice, any final words that you want to share with the people?
Yes, one thing I'd like to share is that I remember some advice that was given to us through the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he said, give always accept the good that you find in a situation and leave the bad. So that was something that I've always striven to do. I feel that there's always some good that I can learn from an experience that I have, and then if some parts of it is not good, I leave that alone. And then I would like to recite this Quranic verse, that Allah may reward them according to the best of their deeds and add even more out of his grace. For surely Allah gives to whom he will without measure. So that's a beautiful Quranic verse that I'd like to give to those believers from the 50s and 60s. Alhamdulillah.
May they be blessed. May their hard work and sacrifices continue on through those that they touched, and may they reap the benefits of all of those sacrifices and hard work that they put in. And Sister Lynice, I want to thank you for putting your pen to paper and creating this living legacy right here for us, and just giving the community the gift, right? Giving the community the gift of your story, your firsthand story, so that this legacy is preserved and that it's truth. This is truth, right? This is your truth.
Yes,
Nobody
it is. Yes,
can make this
it's
up.
my truth.
Your
Yes.
real truth. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I thank you so much, Sister Zarina, for being there for us for this past year and propelling us on to do this book. It has been a dream of mine for over 20 years to do this. And so you allowed me to bring this into fruition with you and my fellow sisters. I just love the fact that this opportunity benefit was there for us. So thank you so much, Sister Zarina. I really
You're
do
welcome.
appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. You're welcome. And I also have to just say thank you because I say this so often, you all, but so many people like dream about things, but they don't actually put the work in to do it. Right. And so what you're saying is that you dreamt about it for a while, but then you made a
Yes,
critical decision that you were actually going to get it done. You made a decision, you got some assistance, and then you put the work in, you put your money in, you put resources in, you put time in, showing up, right? And then
yes,
at the end, now we have your book, right? So this is it's like giving birth. You gotta kind of
yes, it was.
incubate the baby for some time. It
Yes, it
doesn't come,
was.
right? You gotta incubate that.
Yes.
But how was the writing process for you? I'm just curious, like the actual writing
Um,
process. Was it therapeutic? Was it stressful? Was it like
all of the above. It really was. It was all of the above. I cannot lie. So, but you know what? With, like I said, with your help, and then with the person, the editor helping me, and I had, several sisters that were there for me. So it was really a blessing. It was a blessing to be able to do this. It really, truly was.
yay. Well, congratulations, power author Lynice Muhammad. We are here
Thank
with
you
you.
so
We
much.
can't wait to have more and more people buy the book. So we're gonna ask all of you all to buy the book tomorrow on our bestseller day because Amazon has certain algorithms and such. People keep asking me, why shouldn't I buy it right now? If you buy it right now, go do it. But then tomorrow, buy another copy to give a gift or buy the Kindle copy. I don't care. I just want you to buy it again and buy it tomorrow so that we can use the algorithms and help to push up the books and help more people be able to hear these messages. All right, so I love you all, Sister Lynice. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us. Thank you for working through the technical difficulties. I know it can be frustrating, but you have done it. Like a lot of people can't even get onto a live, and now you're like proficient at lives. You know how to come into Zooms. You know how to, I'm like, you technologically savvy. Doing it.
Not really, but thank you so much. I'm growing. Let's say I'm growing. Thank you so much.
For sure, for sure. All right, love you all. Sister Lynice, can people contact you through Facebook if they would like to just connect with you more? What's the best way for them to contact you?
Yeah, Facebook, and then also lynicem@yahoo.com.
All right, Lynice M, Lynice at yahoo.com. Hey, Jaretta, welcome. Thank you. So, thank you. Looking forward to reading your book. Congratulations. Awesome. Filet. Congratulations. I always say Fela. Filet. Congratulations. Awesome. All right, you all. We'll see you tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, powerauthoracademy.com/graduation. And if you register, just know, if you register, you can be entered into drawings. We have some motivational t-shirts. We have some bath products. We have some publishing tools, of course. We have a lot of great things that you can win just by showing up, but you have to register. So registration is free. Go to powerauthoracademy.com/graduation, and there you can register for free, and you will be entered into the drawings tomorrow to win one of our prizes. We love you all. Please share this out and write your own story. I don't care if you publish it in a book format or not, but at least write your story and share that with your family. If you want help with publishing, we're here. But the bigger thing is that I want you all to get with the importance of writing your story and understand there is a power, both for your own personal introspection and healing, as well as for those who read it. Have a great evening, you all. Bye-bye.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.